Okay, so I have to do this a million times because either the company logo came in or some other shit happened, or in the case of the last time, the shit just suddenly stopped recording. And it's not like I ran out of space because this thing is getting saved to a 3 terabyte hard drive, and I've only used about 2% of that. So let's try this one more time. Everything is going all right. I am coming to actually today, January 4th, 2016, is the end of my over 2 weeks paid vacation, and I'm going back to work at 7 p.m. today. So I wanted to get some trainings done. Why? Well, just to start 216 out fresh. Just clear it out. Clear out all the trainings that have been due for the longest time and all that. And one of the trainings that I came across is this diversity training. Diversity and inclusion is what it says up here. The company logo is here, and I'm trying to keep the company logo out, so that's that. Diversity and inclusion. Okay. And I only got to these two parts. This is the intro that has the company logo, so I can't show that. I'm not going to do these three because I don't think I think this should pretty much sum up everything of the spirit of this whole training and what I think about it. So, an inclusive organization. Let's click on this one because this is what there's a part of this in there that prompted me to make this thing. And I'm sorry for this thing right here, but I need to see what the hell I'm doing. So yeah, that's how that is. I'm trying to keep this thing below this line right here, because the company logo is right up here. So, an inclusive organization, blah 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 blah. You all see this. Hopefully, this thing focuses properly. Okay. Here's what I'm talking about. This, I believe, is what they call the diversity iceberg. Okay. An inclusive organization, our appearance is only 10% of who we are. Water visibility up here, blah blah blah. Okay. This is what I'm talking about right here. So now it's 90%, blah 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 blah. I don't know what the other 10% is, but it doesn't really matter. Right here, click to view definitions. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, you'd think that all of these would have definitions, just to be clear cut, but it's not like that. The only three that have asterisks, which is what this thing here, click to view definitions, are gender expression, sexual orientation, and gender identity. How interesting that those three happen to have asterisks, which basically gives explanations of their definitions and nothing else. Now, for anybody who wants to come with the argument of, oh, well, those three are the least understood out of all of them, and blah, 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 and the most misunderstood and whatever. Now, let's take a look at race, for example. Race, I believe, is one of the most misunderstood ones here. Why? Well, have you ever asked yourself why it is that on those forms, especially more official forms going closer towards the government or any government-based thing, it says white not of Hispanic descent or black not of Hispanic descent? Why does being of Hispanic descent matter? It doesn't say black not of Asian descent or white not of Indian descent. It doesn't say that. Native American not of Middle Eastern descent. So why Hispanic? That's just a small question. Let's go to a bigger question. Race. What exactly is race? Because it seems to me that only blacks, quote unquote, blacks and whites get a color. Other people have colors too. For example, Asians, they have color. They're designated as yellow from what I understand. But if you were to actually say yellow, you would probably get a lot more than some uneasy stares and people trying to distance themselves from you a little bit. Huh? Let's look at the technical term for what is considered Asian, and that's Oriental. Or actually now East Asian, I believe, is the accepted term for right now, is East Asian. But really, they're considered Oriental is the technical name for them. Say that and see if you don't get even worse uneasy stares and probably a call from HR. And that's if you're at work. If you're not at work, if you're on the street, you might run into some problems, even though that is the technical definition of them, or their technical name. So now it's East Asians. Can't just say Asians anymore either. Why? Well, if you look geographically on the map, even Middle East is considered Asia. It's Europe, Asia. Part of Russia is considered Asia. Pakistan, India, and all those places, Mongolia, Siberia, all that is, well, Siberia is like a region. All of that is considered Asia. So and thereby making them Asian. So you have to say East Asia now. Race is a very interesting thing. Let's take a look at probably the biggest part of that, white people. Now, I say white people, and what do you immediately think of? Exactly. Now, if you actually go and research white people, you'd realize that there are white depends on whatever definition you want to use at the time, unlike most likely everything else. What the hell am I talking about? Well, for example, there are some people in Africa that are blacker than me, black as fucking midnight, but yet they're classified as white. Don't believe me? Feel free to go research it. There are no shortage of people that have no business being classified as white that are classified as white, and some people that you would think would be classified as white, they fit what looks like the Anglo-European, Anglo-Saxon, whatever, Caucasian, whatever, but yet they're not white. Either they weren't before and they are now, or they were before or they're not now. So race is one of the most ambiguous, enigmatic things on this list, if not the most, even more than these three that get their own personal definitions, but yet it doesn't have an asterisk of its own. Very serious stuff. Feel free to go look it up if you don't believe anything that I just said. But race is very, very tricky, and when it comes to race, white is the most tricky of them all. Okay? Feel free to go look up the white race and see, and then be pleasantly fucking surprised. Now, let's take a look at this. Gender expression. Not sure if you all can read this, so I'll read it off. Gender expression refers to all of the person's external characteristics and behaviors, such as dress, grooming, mannerisms, speech pattern, and social interactions, that are socially identified with a particular gender. Social or cultural norms can vary widely, and some characteristics, make sure I keep the company logo out, and some characteristics that may be accepted as masculine, feminine, or neutral in one culture may not be assessed similarly in another. Now check out the source on this. Source: Transgender Inclusion in the Workplace, a Human Rights Campaign Foundation report, 2nd edition, Human Rights Campaign 2008. I'll pretend I'm surprised. Okay. Sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is the next one. Sexual orientation describes a person's enduring physical, romantic, emotional, and/or spiritual attraction to another person. Gender identity and sexual orientation are not the same. Gender identity. Gender identity refers to a person's innate, deeply felt psychological sense of gender, which may or may not correspond to the person's body or designated sex at birth. And these three that I just read off are all from the exact same source. Okay. So there you have it. And my question is, why the fuck does any of this even matter? It's amazing to me how this kind of stuff, women, LGBT, and everything else gets shoved in society's faces, but yet you're not allowed to question it. You're not allowed to disagree with it, or not even disagree, just question. But not even question just to be a dissenting voice, but question in order to, let's say, learn. You're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to give any kind of criticism about it. Nothing at all, but yet it keeps getting shoved in your face, shoved in your face, shoved in your face. Shit kills me. And outside in public and society is one thing, but in the workplace where you're basically expected to just come in, be a cog in the wheel, just be a standard issue fucking part, interchangeable part, universal part in the apparatus, the machine called whatever workplace you work at. All this shit that they're bringing up should be irrelevant. You come in, you do your work, you clock in, you zone out, you do your fucking work, you zone back in when it's time to go home, get your paycheck every week, 2 weeks, 1st or 15th, whatever, monthly, whatever it is. And then you can go be your race, age, gender, nationality, and whatever the fuck all else on your own time. And it is your own time to, for example, right now why I'm doing all of these trainings right now is because this job does not, I don't let anything come in the way of my job when it's time to work. I'm not letting my job come in the way of the rest of my life. And my time off was my time off. That was my vacation. I was not doing any fucking work. In fact, they're lucky I'm doing the work right now rather than on company time getting paid for it. Aren't I fucking nice? So, all this stuff, enjoy it on your own time. But when you're at work, gender identity, sexual orientation, gender expression, ethnicity, age, gender, race, whatever the fuck, nationality, none of that shit matters. Unless it does matter, but if you're going to tell me it shouldn't matter, well then stop talking about it every 2 fucking seconds. It's that simple. Especially when nobody else can question it or give a dissenting comment. Anything short of long live whatever. The rulers and gods of us all, and boom, there's a problem. This is why I really wish I could work at home. And this job that I'm doing, this place that I work at, can be done at home. Especially since they were gonna, from what I understand, they were gonna outsource it, but somebody in there convinced them not to, and that's why we all have jobs now. I could do this at home. I would happily just build a computer just for that, considering the kind of job that I do. The chance of you getting hit with viruses and stuff is quite high. So I got spare parts right here. I could build a fucking computer just for work. Have them clear it, bring it into them, have them clear it, whatever, and just work at home and not have to deal with any of this shit. It's crazy. None of this stuff should matter in the workplace, and yet for some odd reason it does. And you had better be happy, grateful, bow down, and worship it, because anyhow you say anything less than favorable, that's it. It's fucking sad. But diversity in the workplace. I think it was either the video that I just made before, or maybe one of the videos that I'm going to make now. It's under the wisdom exercise thing, where I basically say, yo, I don't want to be one with every fucking thing. You know, this whole inclusion, we're all one bullshit. I don't feel like being one with rapists, murderers, people that have views on religion that I don't feel like being one with them. People that don't like me because of whatever, because maybe I'm black, because maybe I'm a foreigner, because maybe I'm bald, because maybe I'm over 6 feet, because maybe I'm over 300. I don't want to be one with people like that. This whole bullshit of inclusion and we're all one and tolerance and acceptance and all that shit. Yo, there are universal goods and evils out here of which we all need, of which everyone needs to come to not even an agreement on. I mean, it's there whether you agree to it or not, but it needs to be acknowledged whether anybody likes it or not. And this whole bullshit of don't judge, we're all one, tolerance, acceptance, inclusion, diversity, and all that shit. I'm sorry, that when I have everyone, like I said in either my previous video or a video I'm going to make soon, when I have everybody smiling in my face, I don't know who the fuck my enemies are. There are some people of certain races, and not everybody of that race, but some people of that race, some people of that age, some people of that gender, some people of that religious belief, some people of that non-religious belief, i.e. atheists, some people of whatever, that I don't want to be one with, that I don't want to associate or have to deal with more than normal. Right? And under this leftist liberal, for what it's worth, secular, if that has anything to do with it, guys of diversity, inclusion, tolerance, acceptance, yo, that means that all my enemies, in addition to my friends, but all my enemies are smiling in my face, and I don't know who the hell my enemies really are. And yes, I have enemies. You have enemies. We all have enemies. Good luck knowing who they are when everybody's smiling at your face like a fucking Cheshire cat. It's ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Very sad. Now, in the case of work, well, you know what? All this stuff, keep it the fuck out. You want to keep religion out of everything? I can't advertise that I'm a Christian at work, or else that might help. You even take Christ out of Christmas. Christmas really has nothing to do with Christianity or Christ. Okay, fine. But it's believed to be, and the spirit of it is said to be. But what? You put an X instead of Christ. You don't do that kind of mutilation with any other religion or religious holiday based off what it's supposed to be, whether it is or not. You remove Christ, you remove Christianity out of it so that it's more tolerant and acceptant of everybody else. You don't do that with any of the Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or whatever the hell else religion. You don't do it with... You don't change any kind of atheist practice, whatever the hell that may be, or Satanist practice, whatever that may be, to be more inclusive of Christians and all that. No. So then, if none of that stuff is supposed to matter, religion or any of that stuff, why is it being brought up? At work, you're just supposed to come, just be a cog in the wheel, just be a standard issue cookie cutter mold. Come in, be a slave, work for your pittance and your peanuts, and get the fuck out. That's it. And if you're going to remove all this stuff like religion, I can't show Christianity, I can't show that I'm a Christian or anything. If you're going to remove all that stuff, then remove all this other stuff as well. You are number one. You are number two. You are a number. You are bits, ones and zeros, bytes. That's it. That's all you are. Nothing else. Get rid of all the shit out of there. You keep wanting to show fucking gender, sexual stat or orientation, whatever, and all that stuff. But yet, if I were to post up a picture of some girl that's butt naked or in a bikini or something, I'll get in trouble. But yet you keep flashing women with whatever, with however they want to quote unquote dress. You keep wanting to flash this, flash that in my face. Just come to work and be a fucking cog. And get rid of all this shit. All this is irrelevant. If it really is irrelevant. If it's not, well then, you know what? Let's talk about religion. Let's talk about age, gender, all this other stuff. Not just these three. Anyway. That is my little, I'll call it whatever the hell you want. But I think it's just quite interesting that it seems like everybody's having to do shit like this now. This kind of diversity and inclusion training. Your thoughts?